chat. I'll be with you for about 90 minutes today. I've got some things to do, so not quite as long of a live stream today, but I'm here for it. As always, if you'd like to interact with me, I do have super chats turned on. All you got to do, if you want to ask a question, anything you would like to ask about, any topic at all, law of attraction, twin flames, whatever you want to talk about, super chats are there for you. Or if you just want to make a donation. Meanwhile, I'll be giving the teaching today about manifesting miracles. Manifesting miracles. And I'm for real. Do you need a miracle? Well, get to work, get started. And I'm going to tell you exactly what get to work and get started looks like today. So, what is a miracle? What is a miracle? Well, the thing is, a miracle is really nothing more than the law of attraction in action. But you might call it a miracle because it seems unattainable. You're facing adversity. Think of it as like a really big goal that you've placed a lot of importance on. So essentially, it's really just, you're kind of subjectively giving it that label miracle. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's something that's really important to you. But really to call it a miracle, again, is just kind of a point of view. Because, it's just the law of attraction. That's really all it is. Stephanie, hello. Long time no see. How are you? One of my former coaching students there. I hope you're doing well. Miracles. Yeah. Something that you really want, something big, a big goal, a miracle. How to use the law of attraction to bring something like that to you. It's so unbelievable that you get to have this thing show up, this thing that you really needed. It's like a gift. And, there's somebody in the chat here that's describing a miracle as something that happens when we would never expect it to happen. Touche. It's like magic or something. And I got to tell you guys, the law of attraction, just in the ordinary sense, like manifesting anything, it's always like that. So that just goes to illustrate my point. Even when it's just kind of an ordinary thing that you're trying to manifest, it's like that. It's like when the thing that you're trying to manifest shows up, it happens in such an unexpected way. It comes through in a way that seems magical, like, wow, how did I attract this to me? And it could even come in the midst of things not going so well. And then all of a sudden, this perfect thing pops up. It seems to happen very synchronistically. And this is why people perceive manifesting as some kind of magic, because it happens in seemingly inexplicable ways. So even though we know exactly what's going on and we know exactly what the law of attraction is, it sure doesn't make it any less fun, right? When this stuff starts working. And guys, that's exciting. You can really manifest anything you like, something that you would call a miracle. Now, be careful what you wish for, number one. That's something I've talked about before, and that doesn't really apply here, although maybe. I've talked about that before, like trying to manifest somebody specific or trying to manifest a certain type of person, and then later you're like, oh, fuck, this isn't what I wanted. And it becomes like a bad experience, right? So be careful what you wish for. Also, not respecting the free will of others. For example, manifesting a specific person. By the way, this doesn't work on twin flames. I want to make sure to say that. You cannot use law of attraction techniques on your twin flame. And you don't need to. You don't need to. It doesn't work that way. You don't need to do it that way. Your twin flame is your soul. It's just consciousness. That's all. Law of attraction techniques, that's when you start to focus your consciousness on mental things. And you start to recondition mental patterns so that you'll be a vibrational match to what it is that you want. If you do that with your twin flame, they run. They run even harder. That's why, like, if you're doing, like healing exercises to get your twin flame back, which, and I'm not saying that healing is bad. People often misinterpret me about that. No, there's legitimate healing and there's illegitimate toxic healing, which thus is not healing. So I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying, make sure you're doing it right. Make sure it's actual healing. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And really, healing is just psychology. That's all that is. And it's something that is so gosh darn prevalent in the general spiritual community. Like, everybody's doing it. Everybody's talking about shadow work and inner child work. And then when you hear them explain what it is that you need to do this healing, it's toxic. It doesn't even work. It doesn't even work. It makes things worse. It makes people even more emotionally dysregulated. And guys, I see it all the time. I just had another one of my coaching students come forward in a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and it's because they're doing this shadow work that all the New Agers are telling you to do. It doesn't work, guys. Real healing, again, is psychological, not spiritual. It's not spiritual, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's psychological and it actually works. Real healing, it's just psychology. And that's all fine and good. So any type of healing modality is, if you know what you're doing, can be good to recondition the mind, reprogram the mind. Inevitably, that's something we're going to continue to talk about in this live today. And it's good to do that because you want to be an energetic match to whatever it is you want, and you want to avoid, like self-sabotaging mental loop-de-loops. Let's just call it. That'll make more sense later. And that's all fine and good. Like actual healing that does something good for you and makes you feel good, right? It makes you feel good so that you can be healed. Whereas when you talk to your average spiritual person, it's just nonstop healing, healing, healing. And if you're having a bad day, or if somebody gets physical with you or violates you in some way and you get mad about it, you need more healing. You're broken. No. No. Being authentic means that you are healed. And the New Agers, it's just healing, 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 karma, karma, healing, karma, healing, karma, karma, healing, 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 healing. You're broken, you're broken, you're broken, healing, healing, healing. And then it's like, is there an end game here? Is there a goal? Is there an outcome? Can I be healed? And it's at that point that it becomes very toxic, very narcissistic. So, and I'll talk more about this later. But guys, that's all mind stuff. That's mental stuff. And again, if you're doing it right, it works. But most of what you see in the so-called spiritual community is not good. It's very invalidating and toxic. The irony here is that although a lot of that stuff can be good if you're doing it right, it's not spiritual. And all of these spiritual people, that's all they want to talk about is healing and shadow work, which is quackery. It's quack psychology, the way that they do it. Most of the time. Some of them know what they're doing. And usually the ones that I have found that know what they're doing, they've got all these certifications and stuff. Right. They actually bothered to go out and get educated like I did. And I don't have any certificates. I have a healthy addiction to learning. I'm all about the learning. How does this work? What is the correct way to do this, right? I absorb information like a sponge, and you can too, and I'm here to pass that on to you. I'm a life coach. I learned from the school of hard knocks. But again, all of that stuff is not spiritual. None of that is spiritual. It's psychological. Spiritual is consciousness. That's it. Notice it took me about 10 minutes to explain that there is a legitimate kind of healing that works, and then there's the quack psychology version that all the New Agers are peddling. It took me 10 minutes to get through all that. And then when I told you what spiritualism actually is, it was one word. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? So this is very important. If you want to manifest a miracle, it's very important to understand the things that can go wrong, like the invalidators, the spiritual bypassers, right? Moral relativism, right? I had a student who the other day was attacked physically on the subway, and she got mad. And when she got home, the programming from all the stupid New Agers is going, I'm a failure, I'm not spiritual, I guess I'm not as spiritual as I thought I was, I really need to get serious about spiritualism, I'm bad, I'm a failure, I'm not supposed to get mad at the person who physically attacked me on the subway. So this is moral relativism. This is toxic. Moral relativism is embedded in the general spiritual community. It's not spiritual, first of all. Spiritual is consciousness. Consciousness provides you the wisdom to figure all this stuff out, to see things for what they are. That's spiritual. So again, I'm laying some ground rules so that you can manifest miracles. Stay with me. Again, I do have super chats turned on. If you'd like to ask a question, anything you like, twin flames, law of attraction, whatever, how to meditate, whatever. But that's that invalidating morally relativistic programming of this weird new age cult. Like, if you ever experience sadness or anger, you're bad. You're never supposed to do that ever. So if somebody physically attacks me on the subway, I'm supposed to go, oh, peace be with you. Oh, bless you. Oh, why, brother? You put your hand on their shoulder and you go, why, brother? Why did you do it? Don't you know we're just supposed to live in love? Like this is a movie or something. And if you just do it, it's like an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where sometimes, you'd see Captain Picard like, oh, we just have to talk this out. And they have like the big conversation at the end of the episode. And the bad guy, he just sees the light and he goes, oh, you're right. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's be friends. And this is the kind of social cues that television and movies and magazines have been giving us for decades, by the way. That you can just reason with people who have like legitimate anger issues. Like somebody who would just randomly push you on the subway, physically attacking you. We just have to show them that we love them. There's people that have gone to different countries in the world, these kind of wokies, and I'm not sorry, guys, these kind of snowflakey, kind of, oh, we just gotta show them the love and show them the light and kumbaya together. Oh, everybody, world peace, blah, 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 blah. Oh, love, 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 love. And then they go to one of these countries that are like war-torn, and they're run by a thug criminal government, and the cultural ideology is toxic, and they don't even allow women to show their face, and they don't allow women to drive cars, and nobody has any human rights. And they go there, these young, gullible, kind of snowflakey, woke people, and they get kidnapped and murdered. You know how many times that's happened? So, no, you can't reason with the guy on the subway that physically attacks you. The only thing that he's going to listen to is, if you fucking touch me again, I'm going to tase you. Or I'm going to mace you. And you pull out your taser gun and you go, fucking leave me alone. But moral relativism and spiritual bypassing, which is what the New Agers do, they're going, oh, Shambhala, everybody, you just got to show the guy that you love him, right? That's kind of the mentality. It's like perpetual adolescence. Kurt, you seem really angry about all this. Yeah. Well, that's toxic, and you're not spiritual if you're angry. Bullshit. You want to know who's spiritual? I'm spiritual. Why? Because I'm wise enough. I have the awareness, consciousness, the soul, spirit, the awareness to look at this stuff and be honest about it. Like I often say, guys, you have to say no thank you to the vampire at your door. If you don't know what a vampire looks like, and you don't know what the rules of vampires are, you're going to let them in your house. Now, I don't want to focus on this stuff all day long, but let's just get this straightened out once and for all. Focus on what you do want way more than you focus on what you don't want is the key. But again, when what you don't want shows up and you just go, oh, I got to give him a big hug. No. If you give him a big hug, he's going to punch you again. Right. I like what Rupert Spira said too. You look at people like this and you go, well, this is just a soul. It's another part of God, and they just forgot who they are. They just forgot that that's what they are. They believe in a fear-based way of living, and they might even have legitimate psychological problems. There could even be physiological problems with their brain too. Guys, these are real problems. We need to have an honest dialogue about this and stop pretending that we live in Disneyland all the time. Sometimes humans can be very ugly. And the blowback from the spiritual community is whenever somebody violates you, like physically attacking you on the subway, when you get angry about it and react, you're told that you need healing and you are not good enough. And that is such horseshit. That's moral relativism and spiritual bypassing, and it's toxic. And a psychologist would never tell you that. Like legitimate psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but I know that's what they would say. Somebody stole money from me. Somebody broke a window on my house, and I got mad, and that just shows that I need healing. No. If you have a legitimate reason to be upset, then be upset. Now, if there's no legitimate reason for you to be upset and you get upset, then there's a problem. And that's exactly what happens when you listen to these gaslighters who tell you you're bad for having feelings. And the amazing thing is the supreme irony here with all this new age healing stuff is if you allow yourself to feel your feelings and realize how they can be useful, the level of joy that you experience in your life takes off big time. And this is something I've had to go through over the last 2 or 3 years, guys. This was part of my spiritual awakening over the last 5 years, is learning about this stuff. And I got to tell you, my joy, the level of peace that I feel in my life has just exploded. It's terrific. Again, if a vampire comes to your house and you don't know the rules, you're going to let him in. A vampire cannot come into your house unless you allow him, even if the door is wide open. And if you go, oh, the poor vampire, he's such a sweetheart. He's acting like such a nice man. You know, the vampire's being really nice. You come inside and I'll give you a hug. And he comes inside and he bites you. And then when you're laying on the floor bleeding out, you go, why did you do this to me? I was nice to you. The vampire looks at you and he goes, you knew I was a vampire, dummy. Now, when you don't let the vampires in to your life situation, the gaslighters, the bypassers, the weird toxic healing stuff, and also people that are just, let's just say unwell, just people that are invalidating, and you know what I'm saying. When you learn how to set those boundaries and you keep that stuff out, guess what happens? You start to get happier. Just not being around people like that drastically increases your happiness, your joy. And then on top of that, if you at the same time drastically increase your Zen game, adding spaciousness to your life, meditating, hanging out with people that are good for you, and building a lifestyle that's as peaceful as you can get it to be. Now you're really cooking with gas, as they say. Man, you start to explode. And here's the thing, guys. Here's what this has to do with miracles. Now you're on the right track. Now you're doing it right. You're living holistically, H-O-L, holistic, body, mind, soul. If you want to manifest a miracle, you're going to have to make some fundamental lifestyle changes. So kind of what I just talked about. And notice the Zen part, the actual spiritual part, it took me like 30 seconds to explain it. Adding spaciousness to your life, slowing down. The psychological part, where we cut out all the toxic people and the gaslighters and well-meaning people, that part, that took like 20 minutes for me to explain because it's psychological. It's a loop-de-loop of games, of psychological games people play with you. And you just have to learn how to spot it. And again, the general spiritual community is saturated with that stuff. And they call it healing, inner child work, shadow work. And they're not doing it right. It's quack psychology, and it's toxic. And it causes you to become more emotionally dysregulated. So be aware of that. Be aware of the vampire. And let me give you an analogy. I once had a handyman. I hired a handyman to do some little odd jobs around my house. He shows up. This is an example of what a vampire could be, right? What I'm calling a vampire. So if vampire sounds mean, okay, it's the amateur handyman, right? He shows up. He's got a nice pickup truck. He's wearing nice clothes, not like dress clothes like this, but like work clothes. But they're nice. They're not all ratty and gross, and he's not all dirty. And, he looks like a nice man. And he is a nice man. He was a very nice man. And when I saw him get to work, he legit, you could tell he wanted to do a good job. He really did. He was very sincere. Really nice guy, Now, here's the problem. When I saw how he was working, I was like, oh no, oh no, oh shit, what am I going to do? Because he put like this towel bar like all crooked. And I'm like, he can't tell that that's crooked or something? I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell either completely until I was like sitting on the toilet. And I was like, wait a minute. He didn't put a level on it. And then he like went to hang like a curtain rod, and then he put all these extra holes, and he like punched a hole in this one piece of furniture he was trying to build, and I don't know. And again, I don't think he's not doing that on purpose. He just doesn't really know what he's doing. And after about a day and a half, I was like, hey, here's your money. I'm all set. Thank you so much. And he goes, okay. So what about all the other tasks that you had that you wanted done? And I go, you know what? I thought I was going to have more money. I'm out of money, but when I'm ready to do the rest of those, I'll give you a call. And he said, okay. And he left. And I was like, whew. And I had to hire a new person to come to do the rest of the tasks and to fix the stuff that the first guy broke. Yeah, there's just people like that, right? Yeah, that's the New Agers. Nice people, but they don't know what they're doing. And again, the spiritual people that I've come across that tend to know what they are doing, they've taken all these classes, they've gotten all these certifications, or at minimum, like me, just always learning about this stuff. Like I have such a thirst to learn about how to correctly do this stuff. And the good news is there is a way to do it. Like, we've already figured all this stuff out. And the healers, the spiritual healers, and I'm going to explain this to you, and everybody watching, you're going to go, yeah, that is what they do. It's this mindset. Okay. They look at the mind. They look at the mind like it's a container. And we have to purge all the bad feelings out so that there's no bad feelings ever again. It's like wringing out a towel. They're going to get all the water out. And then that way, all we can have is yummy feelings. And they're always telling you to do this purging. They'll say things like, oh yeah, there's this trigger, and I know it's just old stuff coming up to be healed. You ever heard one of these spiritual people say that? They always say that. Oh yeah, I've got this trigger, and it's all this old stuff in my ego coming up to be healed and purged. Every single one of you watching is going, yeah, I have heard that, like 1,000,000 times. There's like 1 billion just kind of run-of-the-mill spiritual gurus on the internet saying that stuff. It's like bloodletting. You guys ever heard of, you ever heard of bloodletting? Like 200-300 years ago, they figured out, and they were right about this part, they figured out that illness must be carried by the blood. And that part was correct. But how to fix it, they did incorrectly. Again, this is all important stuff. You have to learn this component, guys, to manifest miracles. We're going to switch to that conversation in just a few minutes, but we have to set this groundwork. So stay with me. Okay. So bloodletting, 200-300 years ago, they would cut the person open and bleed them. And a lot of people would bleed to death because we have to purge. There's that word again. We got to purge the disease out. Nowadays, the medical community, they look at that and they go, yeah, that's quack medical science. Okay, this healing, this shadow work that the spiritual amateur handymen are doing, and again, dime a dozen, they're all over the internet, guys. And I know they're just trying to help. You might look at me and go, Kurt, why are you attacking these people so bad? I'm not attacking. That's gaslighting, by the way. And lots of people gaslight without realizing that they're doing it. You might look at me, somebody, for having this conversation and go, Kurt, why are you attacking them? That's gaslighting. We're not attacking anybody. We're talking about these bad ideas. And by the way, it's just interesting how like the overwhelming majority of people in the so-called spiritual community are doing this. And it's not even spiritual. Anyway, so the way that they describe the mind is like it's a container and you got to purge the stuff out. And that's quack psychology because that's not how the mind functions. That's not how it operates. The mind is an emotional generator. It can generate emotions infinitely, brand new ones. I know, but you're just playing old tape recordings and reacting to them. Well, that can be a thing too, yes. But even a fully authentic adult who's happy and functioning and like a well-oiled, good, authentic adult person, they can get mad, guys, when there is a legitimate reason to be mad. And the thing is, the anger is telling you that something is wrong and that a boundary has been violated, and you're allowed to stand up for yourself And then when you are done dealing with the experience, you get over it. You're not mad anymore. You're able to get through those emotional experiences quickly. Somebody who gaslights and bypasses and engages in this moral relativism where, oh, the person that attacked me on the subway, we just have to understand what is wrong with them and give them a hug. No, that person needs a real psychologist to talk to. And it's not my job to do that, right? You got to set these boundaries. It's not, you're not responsible for other people, guys. Anyway, you're allowed to get mad or sad, guys. And then when you recognize how the mind does operate, how it does function, you'll be able to deal with life's challenges better. Life is always going to bring you challenges, guys. And we're going to get to the acceptance part in just a few moments, right? We're going to dovetail in, this teaching I'm giving you right now is going to dovetail in to miracles. To miracles. So, fully authentic adults who are just overflowing with joy, like yours truly, this is a conversation that I had to have with myself. And I did spend some time with a psychologist. I had a bad experience with a family member a few years ago. And it was so bad, it really screwed with my head. I was in a bad way by the time I got out of that situation. And I spent 7 months talking to a psychologist, and he untangled all of this spiritual bypassy shit that I picked up from the so-called spiritual community. That's where I learned it from. And he was a real psychologist who was a college professor and wrote books. He's like world-renowned psychologist. And I got some very cool news to share with you. After 7 months with him, I was healed. Whereas the New Agers, they're going to put you in a perpetual state of healing. Even after you learn this component, which again, we haven't even gotten to the spiritual part. I mean, we talked a little bit about it. This is all psychology. It's not even spiritual. But if you learn this stuff, it sure helps. Because you're going to be living holistically, right? Body, mind, soul, all three coming into harmony. And again, spiritual is the consciousness, the awareness, the soul. And that awareness allows you to look at these things for what they are and go, oh, I see what to do now. That's wisdom. That's spiritual. Without judging. I'm not judging. It might sound like I'm judging. Am I? Guys, it's the helpful handyman that doesn't know what he's doing. And yeah, I do get mad sometimes. Sure, I get a little huffy. But again, the New Agers, they're going to go, well, that proves that you need more healing. And you're not spiritual. And you're mean. And you see them on the internet talking about people like me. Throwing rocks at me. And you know what I really think about them? I think they're the helpful handyman that doesn't know what he's doing. Nice enough people, but oh man, this stuff that they do, and they do it all the time. And again, gaslighting, nice people do it. Psychologists, they take all this training. Part of their training is to work all the gaslighting out. How to spot gaslighting within themselves. Because gaslighting is like a social cue that everybody kind of learns when they were a kid, I've noticed. And it could be something like, oh, don't be mad, because you want to calm the person down. Oh, no, 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 you don't need to be mad about it. No, 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 be happy. We're just going to focus on being happy. Yeah, let's be happy now. Oh, come on, everybody. And then they just ignore dealing with the difficult emotion and what caused it. Why? Because they just want the person to feel better. It's completely understandable. So even nice people are gaslighting sometimes. And whenever you see that, you just go, all right, well, thanks. And then you walk away, right? So you got to be able to spot this stuff. So that's all the healing stuff, which again, there's legitimate healing, and then there's toxic healing, which isn't healing, actually. They just call it that. Right? They call it healing, but what it really ends up doing is causing you to be more emotionally dysregulated. And again, a fully functional, authentic adult like me, if somebody attacks me or something and I get mad, they tell you, you need more healing. This is some old pattern that, because they think like, like Eckhart Tolle, for example. Oh, he would never do that. If somebody attacked him on the subway, he would never do that. Well, maybe that's true. I don't know. I've never asked him, have you? Would he stand up for himself? If somebody physically attacked me on the subway, I'd fucking punch him. Or I'd mace him or something. I would. And I've got every right to. Now, my perception of Eckhart Tolle is that he would just kind of take it. Right? Well, that's his choice. But guys, that's what serves him. That's what serves him. Right, Sherry. That's right. See, Sherry, just one of my viewers, you see that. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in the so-called spiritual community. Sherry says most spiritual promoters would have you believing that you'll never be fully healed. It's a racket. It's a racket too. Like some of them, I think know that, and they can keep making money off of you. My students in my program, they're in and out. Now, I do have several students that have stuck around, like in my Facebook community, for a few years. They just kind of like it. It's their tribe, But I don't know how many it is. Maybe 100 people? 100 maybe that have been there for that long? Meanwhile, 6,000 people have been through my program. So that's 5,900 people that have been through my program, and they go, I'm good. Thank you. I'm out. Thank you for everything, guys. And I tell them, good luck. That's it. I'm glad this worked. Yeah, because that person is healed. They don't need me anymore. So that's that. And I'm not out to get anybody, guys, but we kind of need to talk about this. And I'm not sorry for being a little stern about it. I'm not sorry. Anybody that would be like, man, Kurt really ranted today. You're gosh darn right I ranted today. This is really dangerous behavior, guys. Telling people, yeah, if you don't let the guy on the subway beat you, if you don't stand up for yourself and talk back to the guy and go, hey, fucking don't touch me, pal. If you don't do that, that you're bad and you're not spiritual and you need more healing. No. Guys, that's like something a little kid does. You guys, we need to have this adult conversation. You know, martial arts, every single one of you watching, it's easy to get the sense that in martial arts, there is this overarching Zen component. Right? There's this overarching Zen component. But still, what are you trying to do? You're trying to physically overpower your opponent. Right, even Yoda defends himself. That's right. He fought some motherfuckers in Star Wars. That's right. Right? But what is it about martial arts that's okay, that's spiritual, but they're fighting physically and you're trying to win a physical fight? But it's done with honor, Kurt. Yeah, you're right. It is done with honor. And at that point in the conversation, if somebody said that to me, what they're trying to do is gaslight me. So this is how this works, guys. Watch this. If somebody goes, well, yeah, but Kurt, you're just being mean. When the martial arts guy does it, it's done with honor. Right, that's gaslighting. So what they're trying to say is that I'm not operating with honor. Honor is not a show that you're putting on, guys. Honor is not just a front. Like, I'm wearing this outfit. I'm wearing a martial arts uniform. I live in the Far East, and I go like this at the beginning and end of my fighting match, and we meditate a lot, and we eat tofu, and so that shows that I have honor. This is all about appearances, and this is the perception people get about spiritualism, is that it's all about the crystals and the sage and the incense, right? And there's nothing wrong with those things, but that's not spiritual. Spiritual is wisdom. It's this awareness, consciousness, the soul. Right. So, yeah, martial arts is part of the Zen traditions, but what martial arts is teaching you is living holistically, essentially. Because you're learning about boundaries and how to stick up for yourself, how to be formidable to your opponent and not let toxicity in, but at the same time, living in peace. I'm going to address some of the stuff in the chat, and then let's switch gears and get into the actual manifesting component, which, again, I got to do this setup with you, right? I got to do this setup so that you can manifest miracles in your life. You have to untangle yourself from this perpetual ensnarement of the inner child work. If you want to do inner child work, which is psychology, talk to a real psychologist, guys. Did you know that if you go around telling people that you're a psychologist, that I don't know if this is the way it is in all countries, but like in Canada and I think even the United States, you get fined $5,000 a day if you tell people you're a psychologist. Why? Because psychology is the official scientific methodology of the human mind, the human mental ecosystem. And if a psychologist makes a diagnosis or they tell somebody, oh yeah, this person is mentally fit, that's admissible in a court of law, right? By the way, my psychologist that I was talking to for 7 months, you know what he told me? He said, Kurt, you're not pathological. And why would he have to say that to me? Because the family member that I was dealing with was gaslighting me so fucking hard that I thought I was bad. And he was like, no, this is manipulation, dude. So, I think it was Mary Poppins. No, Susie Anderson. Thank you for your super chat. Also, Annie. Everybody say hello to Annie, my trusty moderator. She's here on a volunteer basis. Hit that like button for Annie, guys. Hit the like button. We are working so hard for you up here, guys. Like I often say, I don't even get that much money for doing this. And I don't care. You guys could not give me any money. You know, these lives, whenever I do these live chats, I usually lose a couple of subscribers, you know? But I know that there's a core audience in this YouTube community, and I want to be of service. And at the same time, by the way, guys, I'm kind of having a lot of fun up here, man. I love talking about this stuff. I'm passionate. Can you tell? So it's my honor to be of service. Also, one more quick housekeeping thing before we get into the deeper teaching of manifesting miracles. I've got a sale going, in case you didn't know. So if you want to sign up for my Law of Attraction course or even my Twin Flame e-course, I've got this sale going on right now, 25% off with this coupon code. And you got to pay in full. I do have payment plans, but if you can pay in full, it's not a lot of money, guys. And I even had, one of my students on here talking about, somebody who charges like thousands upon thousands of rupees. So I think she lives in India. I think I know who she is too. So if you're still watching, hi there. Good to see you. But yeah. And then here's me. I don't charge diddly. $400, $500. That's a lot of money for some people. So I do have payment plans to make it easier. And we'll work with you too. If you're having a hard time paying, just contact us. We'll work with you. We do that all the time. But yeah, so if you pay in full, use this coupon code, you get 25% off. And guys, everybody already knows about the Twin Flame coaching, 6,000 students. I've helped just thousands of people actually even get their Twin Flame to want to stay and stop running. It works. And it's the only thing that works. But guys, I'm really going to double down. I'm really going to start focusing very, very heavily on the law of attraction side of things. Because inevitably, when you start to remember who you are, you're a soul, which is your twin flame, right? When you remember who you really are, a soul, consciousness, right? The formless, eternal, infinite essence. You start to remember that you're a creator and that consciousness is creative. And whatever you focus on shows up in your reality. And it goes beyond just the conscious mind. You have to start reconditioning your subconscious mind, and you use your conscious mind to do that. I love you guys. It's good to see you guys on here. Hello to everybody. So law of attraction teaching is just kind of the next logical step. So somebody, they're asking a good question. Aren't all others your soul as well, not just your twin flame? Not exactly. The soul is a holographic, what's the word? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Reproduction. It's a holographic reproduction of the source. Reproduction. I got to write that down. I'm always trying to think of that word. Because I've been asked this question a lot of times. And again, just so you know, I used nothing but my own spiritual experiences and conventional physics to draw these kind of conclusions. And then I found out later that other spiritual teachers, and I mean like masters, not these little run-of-the-mill spiritual gurus on YouTube, but the classics, the big dogs, the classical spiritual teachers. This is exactly how they have always explained it for thousands of years. The soul is a holographic reproduction of the source. So there's your soul, which is your soul, and that's where you and your twin flame are one. You are simultaneous incarnations of the same soul. This is your higher self in heaven, the field, right? The energy part of the universe, the vacuum, the void, the Higgs field, right? And these are all of your incarnations. That's you and your twin flame, simultaneous incarnations. Now, where we are all connected is a layer deeper than the soul, which is the source. And the source exists within everything. Every particle, every molecule, every atom, every person. Pretty cool stuff. So you remember that you're a creator, and creating my Manifest Your Dream Life Law of Attraction program was just the next logical step. And guys, it's been almost a year since I launched that program, and I'm starting to realize it's really starting to sink in what I've done. Like I was just doing it. I was just recording the thing and talking and sharing all of the knowledge that I've learned. And a year later, after being on the coaching calls, with my students that are in the program, 500 that we've already signed up in just a year. It's incredible. Everybody, you get through the program, you spend a couple months on the calls, and it'll happen to you too. And it's happening to me. I'm taking a step back from the whole thing, and I'm going, wow, I've done a good thing here. And I'm not just trying to toot my own horn, but god damn, I've created a monster in a good way, right? I'm looking at what I've done and I'm like, fuck, this is legit. This is the real law of attraction teaching. This is the classical law of attraction teaching that I'm sharing with you. It's so powerful that the elite have tried to ban it. I have all my students read a book called The Master Key System. And when Robert Hannell tried to publish that book, they wouldn't let him. They tried to stop him originally. This was the early 1900s. So all the elites, and I talked about this actually over here. So in case you don't know what this is another platform, video platform, just like this current video platform that you are watching me on right now, this YouTube, right? So you can go over here and just look me up, New World All-Star. All-Star is one word. And I just made a video about this topic called Spiritual Warfare and how the world's elite are on purpose using, they're calling it magic, but it's really the law of attraction. Magic is just science undiscovered. It's just science that you haven't figured out yet. You know, this morning I had a conversation with my personal trainer, the person that comes to, they show me how to lift weights and, right? And I've been meaning to share with them my autographs. I have all these signed autographs from different astronauts, people that have walked on the moon, and I've met astronauts, and that's my thing. Any of you that know me a little bit, you know, like I'm really knowledgeable about space travel. And it's not very hard to figure out that, yeah, we really did send people to the moon. It's not hard to figure out. And I could tell at the beginning of the conversation that they've looked into the moon landing conspiracy theory that we haven't sent people to the moon, and that they were a little bit like on the fence, like, yeah, I don't know if we went to the moon. I mean, they didn't say that, but you could kind of tell. And I told them, I said, I'm glad you brought that up. The moon landing conspiracy theory, I'm actually really thankful for that, because it turned out that it's a really effective teaching tool, because you can categorically and systematically go through each talking point that the conspiracy theorists give you about why we didn't go to the moon, supposedly, and you can explain how things really did work. Like all of the when you find out how the engineering really did work, you're like, oh, is that all it was? Like even the stupid shadows and the Van Allen radiation belt and just on and on and on. It's like that. Like when you finally take the time to study that topic, and it's like all the people that learn about the conspiracy theory, they never take the time to learn about the real engineering. And it's like, you didn't bother to do that? You just listened to the conspiracy theorists. And you never took the time to learn about what the engineers that designed all the shit had to say about it. And guys, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence. Not even, fuck evidence, never mind the word evidence. There's an overwhelming amount of information about how those spacecraft did work. And it's amateur science that you can do at your house. One Soul, hello, my other moderator. Thank you for joining us today, everybody. Give her a like. Hit that like button. My volunteer moderators, we are very, very grateful, and we thank you very much. Well, anyway, my point is this law of attraction, manifesting miracles, right? It's just technology, guys. It's just science. You just have to find out how it really does work. And again, like I started out with during today's live chat, a miracle is just a miracle if you call it that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you guys are so nice. I love you guys. What a great community. I'm here to make a master out of you guys. Remember that. I appreciate that you appreciate me. I really appreciate that. But I want to be really clear. I want this to go on record that I don't really want followers. If you enjoy listening to me talk, if you like that, if you enjoy these teachings, that's great. Keep doing that. And if you want to tell me thank you, I'm just going to say you're welcome. But let me be clear about that, just in case somebody ever from the outside comes along and goes, he's just a weird cult leader. No, I want you to be at least as good as I am or better. My job is to at least try to make a master out of you. And you guys, you can all do it. You can all do it. You can do it. I've got the power of this information to share with you. That's powerful. And when you combine knowledge with the wisdom of consciousness, so the mind is knowledge, information. The soul is consciousness, wisdom. When you put those two things together, you guys, that forms a winning combination. You can do it. And I'm going to help you do it. So this is just technology. And this is what my video that I just posted over here on this video platform was talking about. It's about the spiritual warfare that's going on and how these people are trying to even overthrow the legitimate spiritual awakening that's taking place on planet Earth. And that's why I believe the toxic healing that we just spent so much time talking about is so saturated in the so-called spiritual community. And all that does is keep you stuck in thought. I'm not enough. I got to do more healing. I'm not spiritual yet. I need to work on myself some more. I need to do more shadow work. And you're thinking and thinking and thinking. And there, again, there's nothing wrong with doing healing as long as it's real healing. And again, what I'm going to tell you to do is like the most obvious thing ever. Go talk to a psychologist. Go get real healing. Now, most of you don't need that. Yeah, I kind of like Aaron Abke. I do kind of like him. I don't know a lot about him, so there could be, something there. But from what I've seen of him, he seems really great. I do kind of like him. He seems legit. He's good. So there's good ones out there, guys. There's good ones out there. And this is what again, manifesting miracles. This is what I tell my law of attraction, my manifesting students. Is you have to learn this language. I want you to learn this language. I want you to speak this language that I'm speaking. And you'll just do it organically. That's the wisdom. That's the consciousness. 80 to 90% of your manifesting game is your Zen game. The soul is this magical energy of awareness. And I won't go into this today. This is all in, like my online coaching program, but I go really deep into like what non-duality is. And consciousness, non-duality. The mind is duality. The soul is non-duality, right? Single, mono, singularity, non-duality. And at its very core, you can't understand it. And the mind, you may have these epiphanies where you're taking a step back from a mental position as the personality and looking at the great mystery of consciousness. And you're like, wow. It's the great mystery. And I want to go down that rabbit hole so bad. It's so fucking cool. But I don't want to go over budget on time today, but there's no place and there's no object. There's no empty space and there's no matter. It's what do you have when you have neither of those? It's really mysterious when you try to contemplate it. Like, where did all of this come from? Where did empty space come from? One soul, that's fucking badass, dude. Man, I keep doing that. Those guys, usually like legit monks, usually those guys, that's the real deal. That's the real deal. That's spiritual. And it's not just because they're a monk, but 9 times out of 10, there's always going to be, you know, one person that doesn't really quite get it. But most of the time, like those dudes, no, they are classically trained in spiritualism. Right? That's the shit right there, dude. That's the shit. Yeah, right on. I like that. Well, anyway, now the reason that you cannot understand consciousness is because it's not thought. You can't define consciousness. And you don't need to. You are that. You literally are consciousness, right? At your core. So, body, mind, soul. We're going to manifest some motherfucking miracles, guys. Body, mind, soul. Here's the physical body. This out here is the metaphysical astral body, the mind, which is mental, emotional, and metaphysical. And the chakras are part of that. The chakras, you could call them connectors, connection points, where the astral body connects to the physical body. And the soul, you could say, is moving outward from there. But the consciousness is when you go inward. Wow. It's kind of like a black hole. It's exactly like a black hole. And I just came across a video where physicists now are talking about, we think black holes are causing the observer effect in the universe. And if you know what I mean by that, you probably just had your mind blown. Like as in the collapse of the wave function. Science is just now catching up to spiritualism. This is stuff spiritual teachers have been talking about for thousands of years. Well, anyway, this is your soul. I'm representing the soul. With this. So, body, mind, soul. Now, the soul, you could say it's that greater energy cloud that's spreading out into heaven. Yeah, Jenny Rodriguez, if you want to post the link in the chat to that video where the guy was talking about that. And then you have the self, which is the source, which is infinitely going inward then. Very interesting. Now, to manifest a miracle, so I'm getting to the heart of this now. I've done all this setup. We know body, mind, soul. We just did a really good job of talking about how these things function, how these things operate, right? Because you need to know that. You need to know the basics. You need to know what to not do. We spent the first half hour talking about what to not do, like how to avoid the incorrect information, how to avoid the well-meaning but not very good handyman, right? And then how the mind does work. And then you can start reprogramming the mind with the consciousness, which is what you really are. You are the consciousness. So when we think about who am I beyond the body and the mind, the mind, the body and the mind, who am I beyond the body and the mind? Everybody's going to get, they're going to say, oh, well, I know that I'm a soul. And I'm going to go, yeah, but what is that? Also, the way that we operate in our day-to-day lives is as the personality, as the mind, the retained thought and emotional patterns, the identity. And I'm not saying that's bad. But, and you know, the personality, ego, personality, it has a use, it has a purpose. But it's the identity. It's this is my job. This is who I am. I'm a mom. I'm a brother. I'm a child. I'm a parent. I'm a teacher. I'm a doctor. I'm a liberal conservative. I'm a yada, yada, yada. I've been to these places. I've done these things, right? And we act out our daily lives in that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what we're doing. And it's reprogramming those beliefs about who you are that causes miracles. And you've got to make this a way of life. But what you really are beyond the body and the mind is consciousness, which is the awareness of the body and the mind. That's why meditation is so critical. 80 to 90% of your manifesting game is your Zen game. Consciousness is the creative force. The double slit experiment. You measure it, you take a measurement, you put awareness on the experiment, and it causes the collapse of the wave. And again, they think black holes are causing that on a greater cosmological scale. And again, a black hole is non-duality. Did you say non-duality? Yeah. Interesting. So you are this mystery. You are this great, unexplainable cosmic force, as physicist Lothar Schaefer put it. Consciousness is an unexplainable cosmic force. Now, once again, let's really get to the meat here. Manifesting miracles. So you've got this thing that you really want to cause to happen, and it's a really big thing. And it's so big that your perception of it is that it would take a miracle to do that. But it's really just the law of attraction, right? No problem, but it just seems like a really big goal. No problem. You can do it. Again, with respect to free will still, the free will of others, but you can, like, even if your spouse is sick or something, you can together try for the miracle, right? It is possible. And that happens all the time. They've done all kinds of scientific studies on the power of prayer, and they get the same results every time with a control group, like a legitimate scientific study. So instead of making the miracle your goal, make this way of life the goal, you see. And if you do that, that's when the miracle has to happen. You have to be clear about what your it is. What is my it? Why am I doing this? I want it to happen. I want it to happen. Well, what is the it? Oh, well, it's getting this miracle. Well, Yeah, that'll happen as a byproduct. And again, don't use this on your twin flame. This is not for twin flames. Remember where I said 80 to 90% of your manifesting game is your Zen game? The twin flame is only the Zen part. None of the other stuff about the mind. And we spent the first 35 minutes talking about how to properly manage emotions and things like that, right? So that component of the conversation is for everything other than your twin flame. But the Zen part is essential to the manifesting part. That's why it's like, again, with my coaching programs, I had my twin flame coaching program, and then it was like the next logical thing is, oh, I'm a creator. That's what you're doing. You're remembering that you're a creator, even when you meet your twin flame. So the next logical thing was my manifesting program. World-class program, guys. It's a complete overhaul of your life, which is what I'm trying to impart to you right now. What is your it? And you don't have to buy my manifesting program. I don't care, guys. These teachings are out there, and I'm giving you a lot of good stuff for free right now, so listen up. Although, if you'd like to sign up, it's not a lot of money, guys. It's not, and it's the best there is. 26 hours, and then there's calls. You get to talk to us. There's a community. I got a sale right now. If you pay in full, I have payment plans. Guys, I'm hooking it up. And there's a whole shitload of free videos all over my YouTube channel. There's even a manifesting playlist, guys. I am just hooking it up, hooking it up, hooking it up, hooking it up. Change your life, guys. Now, instead of making, yeah, there you go. Look, Francis. Yeah, you can even little things, right? But to manifest big things too, same thing, just on a bigger scale, right? And Francis, I'm sure you know that, and I'm sure you've got your big goals too. But it's amazing how like little things start popping up right away too once you start doing this, right? So instead of making the thing you're after, the miracle, the it, I'm going to get it to happen, right? What is your it? Instead, make your it setting up this as a way of life. My goal is to get myself into a place where I'm always continuously monitoring my unconscious reactive habits of thought. And I'm taking unconscious reactive habits of thought and I'm saying, oh, I see you. That's the Zen part. Awareness. You're shining the light on what's in there and you're going, all right, no problem. I'm going to switch to something positive. You're never going to get rid of the fear. Like I said earlier, there's no purging. Fear is embedded in the human psyche. Just look around you. You're never going to purge the fear out, but you're learning this new way of life. You're learning this language, like I said earlier, so that you can overcome fear over and over and over again, over and over and over again, over and over and over again. Never stop, never stop, never stop. Never stop, never stop, never stop. I've been called Kurt, never stop, never stop, never stop Johnson. Hey, it's Kurt, never stop, never stop, never stop Johnson. Right? So we're going to take our focus off the fear and go, wait a minute. What if I can do this amazing thing? And you turn that into a constant habit. Never stop, never stop, never stop. It becomes a way of life. You just do it automatically without even having to think about it. You're just always catching the fear and going, no, I believe this. You make that a way of life. So now, instead of just unconsciously having these old reactive thoughts, you have a new reaction. And the subconscious mind is inherently reactive, and that's fine. But now the reaction is something that serves you. So I'm going to react in an affirming way. So having a reaction can be a good thing. But I'm not being naive like the bypassers and the moral relativism and the toxic healers. Again, nice people. I apologize if it sounds like I'm attacking. No. We just need to be aware of that stuff, guys. And I hope they figure it out. I hope they are able to figure it out. God bless their hearts. I know they're just trying to help, guys. I get it. But like the handyman example that I gave you earlier, you're like, ooh, I don't think this guy knows what he's doing. He's a nice guy, but maybe I better find another person, right? So be aware of that. And every time limiting thoughts come up, you go, oh, I don't have to believe that anymore. I'm going to believe this instead. And that's your new reflexive habit. The part of the old reflexive habit is the spiritual bypassing and the gaslighting of, oh, I'm supposed to only be happy ever. I can never get angry when somebody physically attacks me, for God's sake. Like my student, it's the programming that she had. And right away, and this happens to way more than half of my students. It happens to lots of my students, guys. It's this programming from the so-called spiritual community that tells you that if you get mad and show it when somebody does you wrong, that you're not spiritual and you need healing. No. And if you missed the first half hour of this live, go back and watch it, because that's an important thing to learn, guys. And again, when you come to terms with that, more joy emerges, because you've learned the secret of having healthy boundaries. And again, the New Agers, when you have that dialogue with them, they're just going to gaslight, and they're going to go, oh, I know. Yeah, you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. But underlying the conversation are previous conversations that you've had with them where they've told you that you're a failure and you need more healing if you get mad. Right, that's gaslighting. And again, nice people gaslight, and they don't even realize they're doing it. Psychologists spend years training themselves to not gaslight. It's like a social cue that humans learn when they're children. Like, oh, being mad is bad, right? So there's that. And then there's what I do want, which you need to focus on that like way more. Say no thank you to the vampires. No, you cannot come in my house. Thank you. Or if you want to call him the amateur handyman, go, oh, I appreciate it, but I'm all set. Thank you. And you send him away. Nice guy, but that crooked ass towel bar that he put in your bathroom, I don't think he knows what he's doing. Great guy, but I'm good. And then instead you focus way, way more. And again, what's the it? Make your it. Make your purpose, not the goal, not the miracle that you're after, but to make a way of life out of this. And a big part of this is acceptance too. Acceptance is looking at what is and saying, I know this is happening for a reason. I trust God. And I do believe that what I'm after is coming. So I don't know. This is just some interesting little way that God is bringing me what I want. Even though it looks like it's not going the way I want it to. This is just some interesting little way that the universe is bringing me what I do want. This is just some, I'm on the road to New York, and that's what I'm trying to manifest, but there's a pothole. So what? There's potholes, guys. Jenny Rodriguez. Let me see if I can find it. I might have it here. I don't know. Maybe I didn't. I thought I saved it. Here, give me a second. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be back in 2 minutes, and then I'll try to find that video. It's a good one. Okay. Well, let's see. I've got to have it here somewhere. I've got to have it in my history. Let's see. Observer. It's the black holes and the observer effect. There it is. Found it. Boom. Oh my God. This video is going to blow your mind. If you know even a little bit about physics, you're going to be like, what the fuck? There it is. That's some cool shit right there. Hey, I like how it puts the little crown. New World All-Star, the king. You can be a king too, guys. You can be a king or a queen. Julie Pope. Well, Julie, there's the payment plans. And, just get the law of attraction course. You don't have to talk to them about it. Just tell them, I think the law of attraction is cool, and I want to learn about it. You don't have to tell them about the twin flame stuff, So there's that. So miracles, guys, manifesting a miracle, piece of cake. It's a way of life. It's a way of life. Acceptance of what is. It's a way of life. And acceptance, I meant to mention this to you guys. Acceptance is not something that you can acquire or learn conceptually. There's no like steps, like mental learning. I mean, there's mindfulness, there's the realization of kind of like the way that things really work. But truly, acceptance is something that just emerges organically as a result of your Zen game. You're able to look at something that doesn't serve you, like what appears to be a setback, or like a nasty person or something like that, and you're able to go, well, that's just a part of the whole. WHOLE. It's just a part of the whole. And it must be perfect. It must be there for a reason. There's no mistakes. Or a toxic person, and you look at them and you go, well, that's just somebody who forgot who they were. There's also people that are just, kind of misguided, and we spent a lot of time talking about that today. And you really got to just come to terms with that. And then after you have that discussion, which we had in the first half hour, you take a step back and you go, well, now I'm glad that I understand this knowledge. But at the same time, that's just kind of the way it is. There's people who that's their lot in life, and it must be that way for a reason. These are just people who forgot who they are. And it's all perfect. It's all part of the perfection or a setback, what appears to be a setback. It's all part of the perfection, right? Manifesting a miracle. What is your it? Is it the miracle itself? I'm going to get it to happen, right? What's the it? Because if you make getting into this lifestyle change your goal, it'll happen no matter what it is you're trying to manifest. And guys, I've gotten so good at this, at manifesting things, big things, that I'm at the point now where the only thing that feels like a miracle to me would be like, changing the world or something, or creating a space on Earth where, for example, we could all live together in peace and prosperity and be safe from harm, safe from kind of the big brother new world order tyranny that seems to be the order of the day today. This, the masses of people that are just mindlessly going along with it. And, that right there is all about taking away your rights and controlling you. And again, even the amateur handyman, the helpful person that doesn't really know what they're doing, I wish them the best, but they're misguided, and I can't help them. I don't know what to do. I wish I could get through to them. I try. But there must be a reason for that. Again, acceptance. You know, there's these people that are just going to be like that. And there's got to be a reason for it. And I have kind of some theories about why it's like that. And, you know, so the best thing we can do is for just everybody here to just focus on maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll all end up on an island together someday. I don't know, guys. But I have been shown that there will be a place like that in this lifetime. I don't know where. I don't know what that's going to look like. But I just want there to be a safe place for everybody to live, free from this kind of organized centralization of power, this tyranny that's taking over. And that's what I want to focus on over here. So again, this place, if you don't know what this is, it's another video platform where I'm able to talk more candidly about this stuff. So find me over here, New World All-Star. All-Star is one word. And that's kind of what I'm setting up over there, is where we can all focus on that. Like where can we go to live with our families and our loved ones and raise our children in peace and live. Right, Bill 11C. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And I'm just done, guys. I'm walking away, and I'm going to make it happen in the physical. And I'd like some people to come with me. And that's what we're doing over here. So I don't know how that's going to look like. As far as like where, I have a pretty good idea what it would look like as far as like how we would live. And it just so happens that how we would live are things that humans have already done. Things that we've already figured out. And they worked. They worked. This is, you guys, you know this is my thing, right? Wait, what do we already know about stuff like this that already works? Like the whole healing bit that we spent at the beginning of this YouTube video today, right? Like, no, there is legitimate healing that works. It's called psychology. Just do that. It works. Spiritualism. We know that it's consciousness, creating a life of spaciousness, meditating, your Zen game, as I call it. That's spiritual, and it works. We already know about this stuff. We already know about psychology. We already know about spiritualism. We already know about human rights and exactly what that is. And I did a really great job of breaking down what that is and explaining that piece by piece. If you'd like to go watch the live I did a couple of weeks ago about New Age spiritualism, where I compared what they're doing to what we already know about human rights. There is a very well-defined way to, like, how do I identify my rights? How would I know what they are? What is to decide? We already know this stuff. These aren't my ideas even. I'm just good at explaining them, I guess, and kind of bringing them all together. Here's what works. Here you go. And by the way, another conversation, again, is here's the agenda and how to identify it. And how would I know when someone is either doing it on purpose or has fallen prey to the agenda? Which, again, well-meaning people, the helpful handyman that puts the towel bar on crooked, right? Like the New Agers, and it's like 75% of the so-called spiritual community is peddling this shadow work and inner child work, and it's not even real psychology. Yeah, it's somebody who's fallen prey to the agenda. And my heart goes out to them, but at the same time, we need to have a conversation about this because it doesn't need to be you guys. There are realistic things that we can do, practical things that we can do here that would work. And how do I know they would work? Because people do them today, and they do work. How about that shit? So that's what I'm doing over here. And I don't know, man. I think if we work together, we could make that possible. We could make that possible. And what I'm not talking about is a commune. No. No. I'm also not talking about some weird-ass Jim Jones shit. Like I'm always telling you guys, I want fellow masters. I want independent, free, spiritual badass masters. That's you. We have to have a dialogue about real justice. Not what television says justice is. Yeah, don't drink the Kool-Aid. That's right. Don't believe everything you see on TV, and especially the internet. Jesus Christ. So, that's a miracle to me. That's manifesting a miracle, is getting all of y'all together and manifesting something like that. That's big. I think big, guys. The goals in your life that you would call a miracle, I've already manifested. And that's totally fine if you want to call it a miracle. It's all about perception. But I'm here to let you know, as somebody who's done that, you can do it. I did it. I did it. And now I'm in a place where I'm thinking so big that like manifesting world peace or something is what I'm looking at as a miracle. And it's just a word. It's just a word, miracle. But you can do it, guys. You can manifest anything you like. You really can do that. It's awesome. It's awesome. Well, guys, I gotta go. I hope this all makes sense. Focus on creating this as a way of life. Don't focus on the goal. Focus on reprogramming your ego to overcome fear over and over and over again, over and over and over again. Never stop, never stop, never stop. If you focus on doing that, then what's out there, it has to match. It has to. That's the law. It's like, and it's not the law like, that's the rule, damn it. No, it's like gravity, like that kind of law, right? Like if you throw a ball, it will hit the ground, right? If you change energetically what you are being, that will match out there. So get started today, guys. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much. I had a really great time today, you guys. We've talked about a lot of really awesome stuff, a lot of very important things. I hope I have given you something of value. I hope I've inspired you to break out of the matrix of programming that we live in, to think for yourself. You don't even have to agree with anything that I'm saying. Now, if you want to disagree with me, I'm going to disagree back. I'll at least hear you out. But the stuff that I've covered today, just so you kind of know, this is like basics. This stuff. This is like basic manifesting stuff. And it's well researched. But the fact is, there are objective truths. There are objective facts. The sun does rise in the east. The mind is not a container that we got to purge. That's the fake healing. Really, what you need to learn is emotional regulation. And it definitely doesn't include bypassing, invalidating, and saying you're bad whenever you get mad. Unless there's not a legitimate reason to get mad, right? Then you're emotionally dysregulated. This is the kind of stuff, guys, that science, again, psychologists, and I'm not a psychologist, but this is the legitimate proven methodology that works, right? And I just want to share that with you today. And you don't have to agree with me, but if you go do your own research and you have your own life experiences, you're going to go, wait a minute, that is how this works. Yeah, I know. I feel like I got to sneeze. So that's what this is all about, guys. That's what this is all about. Knowing truth, knowing factual information is powerful. Objective truth, the sun rises in the east. Subjective is, well, my favorite color is blue, and that's the best color. Well, that's subjective, and that's fine. That's an opinion. But noticing that the mind is duality, and that it's an emotional generator, and that you can't get healed by purging emotions, noticing that is not subjective. It's not opinion. It's objective. And we just need to be really clear about that stuff. And guys, that is fucking powerful when you have that knowledge, when you get that all straightened out in your head, and then you start to use your consciousness to create miracles in your life. It is fucking powerful, you guys. And it's freedom. It's freedom. And again, the bypassers that wag their finger at you when you get mad for getting punched on the subway, I'm not supposed to get mad about that? No. When you find out that, yeah, you can get mad about that, it's very liberating. That's freedom. I'm not bad for being a damn human. Wow, awesome. And guys, this is something that a lot of us have been through, all throughout my childhood. I was told, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Just for getting mad at stuff that normal people get mad at. Right? It was really nice to find out during this spiritual awakening I've been going through. It was really nice to find out that I'm not bad. That's awesome. You are so powerful, guys. You don't need me. You need you. You need knowledge. You need your wisdom. And I'm here to assist you on this journey of healing. All right, guys, I gotta go. Much love. Much love, my friends. Have a wonderful week. I will be back next Wednesday for another live chat. Adios.